Hi, everybody. Welcome to the It Hurts to Mom podcast. I'm Lauren Rose, and today we're talking about getting us moms or dads into some of those photos we take. Our guest is Stacy Canzonieri. Stacy is a New Jersey mom of three girls, a professional photographer, and founder of the Memory Keepers Club, a community for moms who want to learn how to take more creative photos and be in more photos with their kids. Thank you for coming on, Stacy.
Oh my gosh, you're so welcome. Thank you for having me. This is going to be fun.
I think it's such an interesting and important topic because I know when I'm looking for a photo of myself, I'm scrolling and scrolling and
Yep.
scrolling, and I'm like,
Yes.
oh, it's my daughter, it's my daughter, it's my daughter, it's my
Yeah.
daughter.
Yeah. I
And
agree.
yeah, and I know a lot of other moms have the same problems. So I'd love to chat about that. So, first of all, I guess, how did you get started in photography?
So I am a mom of three girls. There's actually quite a bit of an age gap. I have a 19-year-old who is soon to turn 20, a middle daughter who just turned 16, and then I have a 4-year-old who is about to turn 5. So almost 20 years ago, when I became a mom for the first time, it was hard for me. I struggled with it. I definitely feel like I went through postpartum depression, not like diagnosed or anything, but it was tough. And I remember my husband gave me a camera for Christmas one year, and I fell in love. And I'm sure, like most moms, right? You have a kid and you just want to document like everything they do, every
Hmm.
milestone. It's like the first smile, your first meal. You're like, hold on, let me get the camera, everything about it. And back then, 20 years ago, I mean, gosh, they were not, I don't even think Facebook was around, or maybe it was just starting, or I forget how old it is. But yeah, so I was using a film camera, and I was getting my pictures developed at CVS, where you would, like, I don't know if anybody remembers, but like you would get
Yeah.
doubles of every picture, right? And oh my gosh. So I just fell in love with it that way. And then I think it was when social media started and I was like posting pictures online and sharing what I was doing. And then that's when it sort of snowballed into a business, because people are like, oh, can you take my kid's picture? And um, it was so much fun. It was a huge learning curve owning my own business, um, but I fell in love with it because it allowed me to sort of like be creative and feel like I had a purpose, like, outside of motherhood. In those early
Hmm.
days, it's like it's lonely, it's hard, like, mentally and physically. And yeah, so I really connected with using photography as a way to, like, I don't wanna say enjoy my motherhood journey early in those days, but I'm trying to think of the right word, or maybe just, like, slow down and appreciate it more. Maybe that's a better way to say it.
Maybe even enhance your motherhood journey.
Enhance, that's a great word. Yes, yes, yeah.
So, how do you think photography has affected your motherhood journey?
Well, in that same vein of, like, slowing down, paying attention, because when I pick up a camera, it's because I want to freeze whatever moment that's going on right there. And in order for me to, like, do that, you have to observe more, and you have to really notice things more. So I notice little things about my kids, or like emotions, or like little quirks, personality quirks that they have that kind of like make up who they are. And even actually this morning before I came on, I was thinking my daughter wanted to do like, because it was one of those days that I showered and dried my hair. She wanted to brush my hair, and then she wanted to put lip gloss on me. And I was like, I would really like to capture this moment one day. Not today, but one day I want to be able to capture that because she really enjoys that. So I just found myself sort of like relaxing into the moment and like really being present. And hopefully one day I'll come back to that moment. I can recreate that moment and then capture it in a photo, because I feel like that's a memory that I want to have with her, as a little girl, brushing her mom's hair, putting makeup on me and stuff. So yeah, it makes me feel like I'm more mindful as a mom.
Yeah, I also like to take pictures that document kind of what makes my daughter my daughter.
Yes.
So I completely agree. And maybe that's why we've got so many pictures of our kids. Why do you think moms don't end up in photos? Do you think it's intentional because we don't want to be in them, or is it just because we're just so focused on our kids?
I actually think it's a little bit of both. I know for me personally, I have a lot of insecurities, and I always make this joke that like there is a reason I am behind the camera and not in front of the camera because I it's baby weight that hasn't come off after 20 years, or it's a crooked smile, or it's tired eyes. It's like I don't have the best clothes. Like I'm always in leggings and my hair is in a bun and it's like never washed as often as it should be. So I feel like it's a lot of that and like my own insecurities. And also, yeah, like we're busy. Moms are busy. We're not thinking about like in the middle of doing laundry and dishes and making dinner and helping with homework and all those things. You're not thinking about picking up a camera. So I do think it's a little bit of both. I I try to silence that little inner critic and get in as many photos as I can with my daughter because I know that, she's growing so fast. And I sort of have like, I feel like I have a little bit of a unique perspective because my oldest is going to be turning 20. So I know how quickly time passes because she's in college and I don't even know how that happened. So I feel like I try to be present much more with my 4-year-old. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's crazy how fast it all goes. But so I try to just silence those inner voices in my head and just do it anyway because I'm hoping that in 10, 20, 30, 40 years, when my youngest looks at photos of the two of us, she really is not going to care that, I had an extra 10, 15 pounds on or whatever. And you know what? 20, 30, 40 years, I might be like, oh, you looked so good back then. So just take the photo.
Yeah, I think I agree with you that it's both. I've got some of the same insecurities. I'm not as thin as I used to be, or oh, I don't have any makeup on today, or
Right.
I haven't washed my hair today, or whatever it is. And my daughter always she loves taking videos and pretending she has a YouTube channel, and
Yes.
she frequently won't. I know because I won't let her actually have one, and she frequently wants me to be in it. And most of the time, I'm like, no, I don't really want to be in it
Yes.
today. Let's just focus on you.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering what that's doing to her. I wonder if she's picking up on my insecurities and how if that's going to affect her when she gets older. So I think about that, but I also think that we're definitely focused on documenting the little moments and the big moments with our children that
Yeah.
sometimes we don't even think about getting in the photos.
Yeah. I agree. You have to make it a priority or else it just like we were saying before, you just get too busy. But one thing I will say about, again, having an older daughter and a younger daughter, and we were out at lunch and I brought up that very thing because I was taking pictures of my 3 girls. And of course, my teenagers want to see everything before I like am
Mhm.
allowed to like share it or anything, which is totally fine. I respect their, privacy and stuff like that. So they want to pick out the best photo. And my 16-year-old, I could hear her being like, oh, I don't like that one. I don't like that one. And she'll say like, well, I don't like my hair in that one, or I don't like my smile on that one. And then I noticed my 4-year-old was like, oh yeah, I think my cheeks are big sometimes. And I was like,
Mm.
no, yes. And then I made a comment like we gotta be kind. We really need to be kind to ourselves when we talk about ourselves, especially in front of Olivia, my 4-year-old. And then my husband sort of snickered a little bit because I do the same thing. Like you were just saying, like, I don't like my smile in that picture, or don't show that picture, don't share that picture. So yeah, I agree with you. We definitely need to speak more kindly about ourselves and stuff.
Yeah, because when our kids are looking at these pictures or our family, they're not going to be judging what we look like.
Yeah.
They just love us
Yes. Yeah.
exactly how we are.
Yeah. I agree.
So let's talk about why it's even important that moms get included in pictures.
So I feel like you might not think it's important now, but I was at a conference not too long ago, and one of the speakers on the stage brought up a story about her mother. And her mother passed away when she was young. And she was telling a story about how she only had 2 pictures with her mother,
Mm.
two. And her mother passed away when she was 12. So in that 12 years, she has 2 pictures. And it blew my mind. Like, And so now as an adult, she feels that, you know what I mean? She misses the seeing her mom in pictures. So you might not realize it's important now, but down the road, as you get older, it will be important. And so my gosh, it's probably about 12 years now that I lost my dad suddenly. And like, I always think about when somebody passes away, the first thing that you gravitate towards is photos of them, right? And you're
Mhm.
looking for photos of them. You want to cling to those memories. And it's hard to think about that as the reason why you should be taking those or these pictures. But like in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking like one day my kids are gonna, I'm not gonna be around and I want my kids to have these memories of their childhood where I was present. I was right there with them on the vacations and at school functions and all those things. So it's important for the long term.
Yeah, that's so true because what do we do for celebrations of life or for funerals? We go look for pictures of that person, and we don't want to make it difficult on our kids. I mean, and we don't want our family to be sad when they're looking for photos and they're having a hard time finding a photo of us.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's really going to be devastating to our family.
Yeah. And these days, I feel like it's even harder because, you take so many photos and then it's going to be so hard to find all those photos that you need. But if
Mm.
we could be a little bit more intentional about the photos that we're taking, it might help.
Do you have any tips on how to get moms or dads in more photos?
Yes. So, one of the best things that I have discovered lately is actually an app that I'll tell you about. But I also do think it's sort of number one, making it a priority and just saying, listen, this is important to me and I'm going to start doing this. I also think making a sort of list is a good idea. I mean, even if you just pull up your notes app on your phone and just being like, these are the photos I hope to have with my kids one day, and you can sort of like check them off as you get them done. um, but there is an app called Lens Buddy. It's Lens, Lens, and then Buddy, Buddy. I love this thing. Okay. And I'm sure there's probably other apps out there, but I feel like this allows it to be so easy for you to just prop your phone up somewhere. So basically the app has like a time setting. You can take a photo every 2 seconds, every 5 seconds, 10, 15, and then a set amount of photos. So you could take 100 or 50 or 25. And then it just takes it while you're doing whatever you're doing. So I would recommend sort of starting with like your routines with your kids, the certain things that you do every day, like, getting them ready for school or making them breakfast, or, if you're helping them with their homework, or bedtime routines are good too. Prop the phone up somewhere where you are in view, obviously, and then let this app go and take a photo every 10 seconds of you guys. Maybe not all of them will be keepers, but maybe one of them will. And you know what? One of the other things I feel like is we don't always get in photos because I feel like we feel we have to share every photo that we take. So it has to be presentable and we have to have our makeup on and we have to look perfect, but we don't have to share them. You know what I mean? They could just be a collection of photos that are gonna, live on in a decade from now or 2 decades from now that your kids can look up back on. We don't need to post them on social media. So nobody needs to see them. And if that helps take some of the pressure off, then use that too. So that app I love. Like I said, starting with routines, making a list. Um, there are also Bluetooth remotes that sometimes I feel like are fun. Um, you could just search a Bluetooth remote and connect it to your phone. It's easy to use. I also think getting the kids involved and maybe just saying like, this is important to me as a mom. So it doesn't have to be a stiff like pose thing. Just sit on my lap. We can make funny faces. We can read a book, and if you make it a game sort of where like you go back and you look at some of the funny photos you took, or you go back and forth, you could take a few pictures of your kid, they could take a few pictures of you, and then hop in one together. The more you make it fun, the more willing I feel like they're more willing they will be to help you out with that. So
Yeah, and getting as far as getting the kids involved when we're having, a holiday or something and the whole family's together, I'm the one taking all the pictures. But there's a point where I give my daughter the phone and I said, take some pictures
That's
and,
awesome.
make sure that I'm in it. And she loves it.
Yes.
She gets these cute little angles and she'll snap and snap and snap. She thinks she's just a professional little photographer and she really enjoys it. So
Yes.
I think kids love taking pictures
I agree 100%. Yep. What a
and
great
all
way
and
to
they
empower them too.
yeah, and they
Yeah.
can take really good pictures too, in different angles and, close-ups and far things that you wouldn't even think about doing.
Right.
So those are all really great suggestions.
Thank you.
How do you think photography can help us be more mindful? Mindfulness is such a big thing these days to help us be grounded and calm anxiety and stress and
Yes.
even helps with our physical health. What do you think about that?
I think, and even just talking about kids, I think it's a wonderful thing for kids too, and mindfulness. Like we were talking before about slowing down, paying attention. I also think getting outside more. If you want to be taking pictures of things out in nature, then you are observing and you're just taking that time to like be quiet and be with yourself and look through a lens and really see. I guess that's really the best word is you just
Mhm.
see things differently. And I feel like that can help with anxiety and just like take you out of the busy chaos of life, basically.
No, that's really good. And it definitely helps you to observe more, especially if you're thinking about those little moments that you want to document. That means you're paying attention
Yeah.
to what's going right on right now.
Yeah. You're fully present when you're paying attention. You're noticing
Mhm.
things. Yeah.
Exactly. So, how can someone get started using photography to document their motherhood?
So I think, and I'm sure people have heard this a million times, but whatever camera you have with you is the best camera. So I don't think you should let gear or equipment hold you up. Use your phone. I'm sure most people are using their phones anyway. It's right there. It's in your pocket. It's, accessible for everyday moments. I think going back to like routines is a good place to start because it's things you're doing every day. And those routines like make up motherhood, that's what that's what motherhood is. It's sort of getting your kids on routines and giving them snacks. Any sort of ordinary moments I think are wonderful to capture about motherhood because we do sometimes focus on just the bigger moments like losing your first tooth or taking those first steps, all those wonderful things. And yes, should be documented, but other things too, I feel I'm trying to think. My daughter, when she was born, had the back of her hair had this like little swirl that looked like it looked like when you would look at when they're on the weather channel and they're covering like hurricanes and it looked like the eye of a hurricane. So we always used to call her Hurricane Olivia. And
Mhm.
so, we would talk about that, but I don't know that anyone else would necessarily think about taking a photo of that. So, any kind of ordinary, mundane moments, brushing your teeth, my gosh, so many things that scream motherhood. Even stuff where the kids aren't there. Their toys on the floor. If I could tell you about being the mom of a teenager without actually telling you, I would take a photo of all the hair ties on the floor or like on the counter because, they're just everywhere. So yeah, just don't let the equipment hold you up. Just do it. I mean, it sounds very cliche, but you just have to do it. One practice I do feel like is doing it every day.
Mhm.
Because you could take a photo now and then you don't take another one, for 6 months from now. But I think if you can try to get into the habit of doing it every day, it doesn't have to be a fantastic photo every day. It's just a photo every day to get into the habit of doing it.
Yeah, I think that's great. And my iPhone photos, they print out just fine for my needs.
Yep.
Maybe they're not high quality for a professional photographer, but they look perfectly fine to me.
Yep, and they're getting better and better every year. They're such a great tool to document every day.
Yeah. And I think besides just photos, sometimes videos are really good to document.
Yes.
I was just thinking, one of the things that I purposefully documented was this game that my daughter and I have played for years. where we sit on the bed and we turn the fan off and we wait for the fan to stop. And then we're gonna tickle each other. So the
Okay.
whole time the fan is slowing down, we're teasing each other, "I'm gonna get you. No, you're not. I'm gonna tickle you first." And then when the fan stops, we tickle each other, and she loves that.
Yep.
And so I think a year or 2, I finally had somebody video that because
Oh,
that's
good.
something that's just so special that I wanted to document, and it wasn't a photo. A photo wouldn't have done it justice, so we did the
Yes.
video.
Yeah, it definitely would not have done it justice. You need to hear her voice and her laughter, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What do we do with all these endless supplies of digital pictures that are just so overwhelming?
Yes, the $1,000,000 question, right? I think about
Mhm,
that often because when I talk about my older kids and like them looking at pictures 20 years from now, like, what are we going to do? Hold them a phone and be like, here, go find a picture of yourself when you were 10 or something. I mean, really, it's just printing. I think
mhm,
albums are the best way to go because we have so many photos, and albums are such a great way to include so many photos. Um, you just have to be committed, I guess, to printing your photos. I do think, I don't know if this is like a stance that everybody has, but I think we need to be deleting more photos too.
mhm,
We just got back from a trip to Disney not too long ago, and as you can imagine, I took hundreds of photos with my phone. But I made sure, like, if we were waiting online to meet a princess or whatever, I made sure I went through, because a lot of the times you're taking multiple photos of the same
mhm.
thing. So go through and just choose 1 or 2 and delete the rest. And I've talked to so many moms who are like, "But I just can't." Like, "But you need to, because why are you holding on to all those extra photos? If you can just choose 1 or 2 favorites, the rest you're not gonna do anything with them. So at least if you have that 1 or that 2, you're more inclined to print them, and it's easier to find when you're going back to look for them." Yeah, I wish that there was some magical answer. It really just it's digital clutter. So it's making a commitment to not fall into that trap. Um, there are search functions on the phone where you can, obviously the AI on the phone is so advanced where you could like type in dog and it's going to pull up all your pictures of your dog or names
Mhm.
or faces, facial recognition and all that is super helpful. But if you're not printing them, it's useless. So, do you have a lot of albums at home? Do you print a lot?
It's on my to-do list. So before I had a kid, I would print them out because I didn't have that many pictures.
Right.
But yeah, most of mine for the past 10 years have been digital. I am really good about deleting multiples of basically
Good.
the same photo
Yep.
because that is just clutter to me and that's
Yep.
just gets more overwhelming. And I completely agree that printing is the way to go. And so my plan is so I back up my photos to Amazon Photos because with
Okay.
Amazon Prime, you get unlimited photo storage.
Yep.
So, and Amazon has a photo printing service.
Yep.
So, all I'm going to have to do is go to Amazon Photos, select the ones I want to print, and just have them print through Amazon.
Yep.
So, that's one really easy way to do it. There are also other apps that you can, select photos and they'll make an album for you.
Yeah, I use
So,
chat
there's,
books for that because that's
mhm,
easy. Yeah.
yeah, there's lots of ways to do it. My hang up is that I want all my albums to be by year.
Okay.
And I don't know, I can't buy an album unless it's an album I can add to without knowing how many photos I'm gonna have for that year because I
Okay,
don't really
gotcha.
wanna break up the year. My mom's got tons of photo albums and they're all broken up and such, but for some reason my brain is just stuck on I need an album per
The yearbook.
year.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that too. What I try to do instead, and if this doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you, but I try to do it for like events or
Mhm.
I mean, you could do it for seasons, you could do it for events, you could do it for trips. A lot of people do travel albums. So there are ways to sort of break it up, but I could see how that would be tricky if you're just wanting to do the year. You want to wait obviously until you have all the photos for the year. And then I could see also how that could be overwhelming at the end of the year and you're like, "Oh my God, I have all
Yeah,
these photos." Yeah.
right. So basically my idea is maybe once a month I'll print out those for the month. That way
Yep,
at the end of the year it won't be so overwhelming. And they do have some photo albums that are like 3-ring binders, and you can add extra photo sheets at the end if you need more.
that's
So
perfect.
I've got a kind of got a plan in my head. I just need to implement it.
Yeah, it's just the doing part that's hard.
Right, with motherhood and all these other things in life, just printing photos isn't at the top of my radar, and so I just end up forgetting about it.
I know, but isn't that interesting? Because like we were saying before, that that is the one thing you gravitate to at the, at the end or whatever. So it is important to us. It's just like, but why do we keep putting it off? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good point. I think this has been a really interesting and a really important conversation.
Thank
I think
you.
I think we've shown why it's important to get in photos and not just take photos of our kids. So
Yeah.
where can we find out more about you and what you do?
So I am on Instagram all the time. It's Stacy May and Co on Instagram. And I do have a membership called, you mentioned it, the Memory Keepers Club, where like every month where it's a different theme. We have new photo challenges every month, and it's sort of me holding you accountable to get in the frame with your kids.
Mhm.
So there's that. And then, I do have an email list too, where I email out every Friday, and I try to include photo tips every Friday for email as well. So all those different places.
Very cool. And I'll have the links in the show notes.
Okay.
And make sure to subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss any health, parenting, and life advice. For my freebie, 30 ways to relieve pain without taking a pill, go to ithurtstomom.com/tips or at ithurtstomom on Instagram under pain relief. I'd also love to hear from you via email at ithurtstomom@gmail.com. Have a blessed and pain-free day.